we are social beings, and others perceive our willingness to engage, and how others perceive our willingness to engage touches every single aspect of our lives. Not just work, not just home, but the grocery store, the service person, the garbage truck worker. Let's talk about what we can do differently. You haven't done anything wrong. A lot of times this can be related to protectiveness from past experiences, to traumas, but small conscious changes can make a huge difference. Let's talk about the 3 things we can do to really help to address these things that we've discussed. The first thing is internal honesty. If you don't understand why you may be struggling with this, or even able to identify what the issue is, then it's not going to improve. So if you're hearing any of these things and they may even kind of hit a nerve a little bit, some internal honesty is important. Maybe part of it is asking someone else that you're close to kind of give you an honest assessment. What are the things that you think I could work on when it comes to social settings? Do I ever seem intimidating? Welcome to Dr. Gaynor Speaks, where we explore practical tips to improve your relationships and your overall well-being. So, I am so excited that you have joined me today. I'm Dr. Brianna Gaynor. I am a clinical psychologist and a transformational speaker in Georgia. And today we are tackling the topic that's both surprisingly common and a little sensitive, but it's really important. And it's about how people perceive us, specifically the signs that may be considered unapproachable. So, you probably know someone who seems distant or aloof, maybe even a little intimidating. But what if that some person is you? What if you are the person who may seem unapproachable to others and you don't know it? What if it's not only affecting your social relationships, but also your work connections as well? It turns out many of us have habits and behaviors that we aren't even aware of that may seem closed off, specifically when it's not our intent to appear closed off. So in today's episode, we are going to dive into 9 signs that may be sending the wrong signals that you are unapproachable. And most importantly, what you can do to open up and foster better relationships. The truth is we are all social beings, to a different degree. Some people are more extroverted. Some people have a desire for more friendships, but we all desire human connection. And the truth is, in living in this world, having the ability to connect, at least in some way, is important for us to be successful, not only socially, but also in our work life, in everyday life, and being able to get things done, and being able to engage, and being able to get services completed, and being able to live in this world. And so being unapproachable means you're giving off the impression, either verbally or non-verbally, that you don't want to interact. It's not just about being shy or introverted. And sometimes our past traumas or past experiences can really impact the way that we engage with others, which is completely understandable. But a lot of times, if we're not aware of what's going on, then we don't have the opportunity to do something different to change it. But what it also could mean is that if we have a desire to connect, our behaviors are actually giving the complete opposite sign or message that we don't want to. So, I remember, one of the things that I've had to do is a lot of marketing events. And one of the things I would always look out for was the person who had the friendly face. Who was the person who looked approachable, who was kind, who had eye contact with me? Because it's intimidating when you're in a room of a lot of people that you don't know and you're having to kind of sell yourself. And so that is actually how I've made some of my closest business colleagues, by really kind of picking up on who exuded that. And as I got more comfortable and grew in business, I became that person. And that's how I was able to make sure that other people felt comfortable and really make connections. But it was those little nonverbal cues, really stopping to pay attention, to connect, to be friendly, that really helped me to engage, to become comfortable, and to really create some really strong business connections that I still have today. And so what I've noticed is that the way you come forth initially, before you even open your mouth, makes a huge difference in people's perception and people's connection. And so being approachable makes communication easier, just in general. It builds trust. And I always say when you're approachable, you provide a safe space. And who doesn't need a safe space? Safe space doesn't mean that you have to share all your secrets and all your traumas, but it means you're comfortable enough to get whatever the job is that needs to be done to complete the goal and really to be effective. Because once we're comfortable, we do better work. We're more open, we're more engaged, and we're more creative. So let's dive right into the 9 signs that may be considered unapproachable. The first one is probably one you're going to guess because I just gave it in my example, and it's that you avoid eye contact. Eye contact is huge to building trust. If you're constantly looking away, it might look like you are uncomfortable or you're uninterested. However, also keep in mind that this could also mean that you're struggling with something more significant. A lot of times when people are neurodivergent and they may struggle with things like ADHD or autism or social anxiety, it's really a struggle to engage in eye contact, but for different reasons. One could be that your brain has so much information going on that you're not really focusing on what's going on and you're looking for the next thing, or you're distracted by noise. One can be you're uncomfortable with eye contact and you don't know how to engage consistently. Maybe you haven't been taught. And the other one is that you are extremely anxious about how you are being perceived, and that impacts your confidence and your eye contact. Whatever the reason, paying attention to struggles with eye contact is going to be really important in our approachability. However, if it is something that you significantly struggle with, then it may also mean that getting some support to help with identifying why you're struggling and how to improve the stress that comes from eye contact can also be important. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. And so things like counseling or social skills training, reading books about maybe some of the struggles that you have and getting some practical tips can also be some ways to help get over this hump. What I want to identify is that while for some of us, avoiding eye contact can be something that we do inadvertently, for some of us, it can be something that can be really difficult and we may need some more help to address it. The second sign is engagement with others is limited. So do your conversations ever feel short or awkward? Are you always the one initiating? Or are you always the one waiting for someone to come to you to talk to you? It can mean that others are less comfortable and don't know how to engage, don't feel a sense of connection. One of the things that could be important is sometimes figuring out in what situations you feel like this happens. Is it generally just in social situations? Do you notice it in closer relationships with your friends as well, where maybe you're always initiating or maybe they're always initiating? Starting to pay attention to these patterns is going to be really important. The third sign is you fold your arms across your chest. A lot of our communication is nonverbal. Despite what we say, how we show up, what people see says much more than our words can. And so when you have your hands folded over your chest, it can appear that you're closed off, like you are not interested in engaging and you have something better to do. Sometimes it can be discomfort. Sometimes there can be so many other things going on, but paying attention to how you show up when you don't have openness in your body language can definitely send a sign that you aren't interested in the conversation and can make you appear unapproachable. The fourth sign is you often interrupt. Cutting people off, even unintentionally, can make people feel dismissed. And over time, it can push people away. A lot of times when we have so much to say and we're so excited, it can be so hard, myself included, not to cut people off because I want to say something before I forget, or I want to ask you a question, but allowing people to finish their thought is really important. However, again, there are times when we really struggle with that. So for instance, in the case of ADHD, interrupting is a big struggle a lot of times because there's so many thoughts going through your head that you need to get it out, or you want to finish, or there's a hyperactivity and restlessness that can come from conversations. So paying attention to when that happens and working on managing your reactions is going to be really helpful to help in seeming or showing that your intent is to be approachable. And then the next step is, or the next sign is, people aren't asking you for advice. A lot of times the people that we are closest to, that we engage with, that we're working with, we kind of want to hear their opinions. We're seeing that they do things a certain way, and hearing how they react to things is a really important way for us to think through what could work, what couldn't work, and just to have different ideas. When others aren't asking for your input, it may mean that they don't see you as open or helpful. It doesn't mean that you're not open or helpful, but maybe that isn't something that you have shown yourself to be. Maybe a big part of it is you listen and maybe you don't respond, so they don't think that you're interested in the conversation. Another sign could be that you're frequently negative or critical. This is what I call the Eeyore syndrome. We know who Eeyore is, and if you don't, look him up. But Eeyore exudes a sense of doom and gloom. And a lot of times that is a struggle in social situations. Constant criticism or negativity creates tension. It makes others weary of wanting to engage, of wanting to talk about anything for too long because of the negativity. A lot of times negativity can impact the mood in the room. It can impact engagement. Have you ever been in a situation where you were excited and you were talking about something, you were having a great conversation, and then maybe someone came in who was negative and it just kind of ruined the mood? You didn't want to talk about it anymore. You were excited and now you just avoided the conversation altogether. Maybe you went to some other place. Maybe it started to impact your mood throughout the day. Negativity and criticism not only can impact us in the moment, but it can impact our spirit. So while there are things that are hard and life is hard and there are challenges, it's really important for us to consider not only how we're coming across to others, but how negativity and criticism can also impact how we're seeing the world and really create more struggles than we need to have when life is already challenging enough. Another sign is that you are often the last to know. Do you notice that maybe in a workplace, in an office space, in family, you're not necessarily told the things? Does that mean that maybe people don't see you as engaged, that people don't see you as a part of their inner circle or someone who cares to get the information firsthand? And then another sign is that you're often, or you look like you want to be somewhere else. Have you ever seen someone who was in a conversation but didn't really seem like they wanted to be there in the first place? So they're checking their phone, you're multitasking during conversations. I have definitely had several conversations with friends about this. So we're out to dinner and, we're talking and then they're on their phone and they're texting and they're FaceTiming. And I'm like, well, are we spending time together? And it bothers me. It has bothered me because I really want to have this engagement with you. But the thing that I also had to recognize is if I wanted that level of engagement, I also had to give it. So not only the other person being too busy, but us both not being on our phones when we're supposed to be engaging. There is something special about one-on-one, in-person human communication that cannot be replicated with anything else. And with our lives being so busy, when we do take the time and we're actually able to connect with other people, really being intentional is important. And then the last one is people's demeanor changes when you walk away. Almost like the room relaxes after you leave. That could be a subtle cue that you're unapproachable or intimidating. Maybe people don't really understand you. They're confused. They don't feel a sense of connection. And so Let's go over the 9 signs again. You avoid eye contact. Engagement with others is limited. You fold your arms across your chest. You often interrupt. People aren't asking you for advice. You're frequently negative or critical. You're often the last to know. You look like you want to be somewhere else. And people's demeanor changes when you walk away. So, these are the signs. But the truth is, what do we do about it? And why does this matter? Well, being unapproachable can weaken our relationships and chip away at trust. At work, it can impact collaboration. It can limit your influence or even leadership opportunities. A lot of times, we're not only looking at your skill set, but your engagement, because you can have the greatest skill set of all the people at work. But if you're not able to connect with people, which all of us have to deal with in some capacity in work, it really will affect how well you're able to be a leader, because half the battle is the people. And so we are social beings, and others perceive our willingness to engage, and how others perceive our willingness to engage touches every single aspect of our lives. Not just work, not just home, but the grocery store, the service person, the garbage truck worker. You know, I find that I am very keen to customer service when I'm in a restaurant, someone who's nice, someone who's kind, and really working to do the same, because you never know what people are going through, and your smile and your engagement can make all the difference in the world. So let's talk about what we can do differently. First, you haven't done anything wrong. Let's say that. A lot of times this can be related to protectiveness from past experiences, to traumas, but small conscious changes can make a huge difference. So let's talk about the 3 things we can do to really help to address these things that we've discussed. The first thing is internal honesty. If you don't understand why you may be struggling with this, or even able to identify what the issue is, then it's not going to improve. So if you're hearing any of these things and they may even kind of hit a nerve a little bit, some internal honesty is important. And if you are struggling with that, maybe part of it is asking someone else that you're close to kind of give you an honest assessment. What are the things that you think I could work on when it comes to social settings? Do I ever seem intimidating? The people who we're closest to are paying attention to all the things. And oftentimes they're waiting for us to give them permission to tell us, or to give us advice, or to let us know where our struggles are. So while internal honesty is initially very important, it's always important. Always also asking for external honesty with the people you're closest to and trust may also be a way to help bring some awareness of maybe the areas of struggle that you're having. The next thing is to tap into vulnerability. Vulnerability is scary, right? Because it's about showing who you are, showing those pieces of yourself that maybe you wouldn't show other people. And it's not about telling everyone everything, but it's about sharing a little bit about yourself, which can help with approachability. Personal stories, especially about overcoming challenges, create connection. And what I've found is that a lot of the struggles that we go through in life actually help set us up for how we are to help other people. If we keep it to ourselves, then not only is it not helping others, but we're also not helping ourselves. There's something about hearing yourself say the hard things that you've been through that brings a sense of confidence and assurance and awareness and gratefulness. You know, I find that the more that I share about the struggles that I've had in business, or struggles that I've had personally, that I actually help someone else. I talk to so many people on a regular basis, just in general with work, and the times that I've been able to share the loss of my mother when someone else has had a loss, to encourage them, has made all the difference in the world. Or the times where I've been able to hear and say, you know what, you're doing the best that you can, and we all struggle. But really being able to encourage someone based on what I've experienced, based on sharing personal stories. We feel more connected when we feel understood. And so tapping into your vulnerability can be scary, and it doesn't have to be a big thing, but small things make such a big difference. And then the last thing is adjusting your body language. Open up, smile, make eye contact. Simple gestures can make a really big difference. And again, keep in mind that if these things are a struggle for you, maybe it's time to get some support in these areas. There's no better time than the present to become the best version of yourself. One of the things that I'm super excited about this year is that I've made health goals and I'm working actively towards it in every area. Working to be my best self. Not just talking about it, not just talking about, oh, this is what I'm going to do this year, but actually taking the steps. So, what if you were actually actively doing the things that you knew you needed, that you wanted to do, that made you the best version of yourself? And remember this, you can only control your actions. You cannot control anyone else's reaction. So give yourself grace. Doing your best to connect authentically is something to be proud of, regardless of how it's received. And the truth is, even when you improve in this area, everyone's not going to receive it well because everyone has their own struggles. So this is really about improving you, not worrying about how other people take it or if they approve of it, but it's about you knowing that you're doing your best to become the best version of yourself. If you think that some of these signs apply to you, consider this an invitation, not a critique. To begin taking small steps. You deserve connection and support. We all do. And if these are things that could be getting in your way that you weren't aware of, maybe this is a blessing today so that you can adjust things that maybe you wouldn't have even considered otherwise. Thanks for tuning in to Dr. Gaynor Speaks. I am Dr. Brianna Gaynor. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, a colleague, or better yet, engage in a conversation today about warmth and openness because we all need it. Until next time, take care of yourself and others. I am on social media platforms, Instagram, and on Facebook, Dr. Gaynor Speaks. You can also buy my first book. It's called Nina's Smile, a book about resilience for not only children, but families alike. There's also a workbook to help you work through how we deal with struggles because inevitably they will happen. And you can find my book on Amazon or anywhere books are sold, and also on my website, drbriannagaynor.com. I am also available for speaking engagements, so you can head to the website also, drbriannagaynor.com, for an inquiry about speaking, and also follow my YouTube channel for additional content. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Bye.